يا أهلا وسهلا فيكم معنا ببرنامجنا سماشي، البرنامج المتعلق بالفعاليات والأحداث اللي منغطيها بسماشي. اليوم بما أنه بدأ العد التنازلي وبقي 7 أيام فقط على مؤتمر ستيب أنيوير، رح ناخدكم بأرشيف ستيب أنيوير من العام الماضي. واليوم وهلأ رح أترككم مع مقابلة خاصة جدا تم بثها بستيب أنيوير العام الماضي مع مؤسس تطبيق أنغامي إيلي حبيب. خليكم معنا وتابعوا المقابلة.
إيلي.
Hello.
Hey, how
How
are
are
you?
you?
Good to
I'm
see you.
fine. Same here. How are you?
Very good. Did you like the playlist I was playing on Anغامي?
Yes, and because you told me, I mean, it was sad to see that you were on free, so I actually gave you a premium. I think I gave you a premium version while waiting for you, at least if you want to play, not to get ads. But though, I mean, I'm grateful if you get ads because after all, also that pays the bill.
That's true. That's true. I have to admit, I do benefit from
I'm
that.
I didn't bring a mate, but I just brewed coffee. So I mean,
Okay, nice.
yeah, it's like my thing is coffee, not mate, but still.
You should try it. You've tried it before? Have you tried it?
I've tried it, but I'm a coffee aficionado. So I mean, I'm not an aficionado of mate, but obviously
Yeah, I
I
know.
like it.
I used to drink a lot of coffee, by the way, but I switched to mate because I have bad reflux, and mate is like better antioxidant for the stomach, and I still need my caffeine. So mate apparently has caffeine between coffee and tea, so more than tea but less than coffee. But it's an
Okay,
antioxidant.
good.
So yeah,
I'm sure the audience would enjoy knowing that too.
yeah.
You can find mate in wherever they are.
Yeah, exactly. So this month probably has
Thank you
been
for
pretty
having
tough
me.
for you.
Yes. Honestly,
Tough for all of us, but
I don't know. I mean,
specifically for you. Yeah.
it's very weird. It's very weird times. I'm going in Lebanon for Lebanon, and being in Lebanon, and I intentionally wanted to put, it's like those are pictures of Lebanese houses behind me. They were Lebanese windows, but still, the point is, Lebanon has been core for us and Ghami. We've built everything in Lebanon with Lebanon as a backbone. And suddenly, over the past year, Lebanon is changing. I mean, tremendously. Over the last, for August, there was a huge explosion which destroyed a lot of lives and affected a lot of people in Lebanon, including people from our team. So yeah, it's been hard.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I mean, I know you're the only one maybe that has such a big team and a company with like your most of your team are still in Lebanon. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We like roughly 80% of our team is in Lebanon, but you always make a lot of mistakes while building companies, and Anghami is company number 5 for me. And company number 4, I built it mostly with a great team, but outsourcing. I mean, not outsourcing. It was my team, but it was based in Belarus. It's a great team, which I still in contact with and respect everything. But I said next time I want to have a team where I can build face to face. That was previously before COVID, obviously. So I wanted that particular team spirit that you can only build by being in the same office. Clearly, it could be built remotely, and we've been migrating remotely, and things have been quite good. But let's just say that I did not think that it was possible, and I wanted it to be totally in Lebanon because I thought that was part of what we could give to Lebanon as a team, me and Eddie, and because we thought and we still think that our biggest export is our brains, is the people of Lebanon are the biggest export. I mean, yeah, hummus is probably the next one, but besides that, we are the biggest export. You're one of them, Ray. So that's why we invested in Lebanon. That's why we invested in Lebanese. Yeah, it's tough right now.
I can tell you, yeah, you've given much more to the country than the country has given back to you, unfortunately. And I know how difficult it is to be able to manage a team in Lebanon in the current climate. And it's difficult to blame them because it is a very tough climate to be in, and all the distractions and different things that are happening. But what are you planning to do now? I mean, are you planning to expand your team beyond Lebanon per se, or you plan to like keep resisting?
Yeah, I mean, that's really very hard to take that decision. I think there's a lot of Lebanese being in that hard decision. I think that we have a song that was just released a few minutes ago, actually, an Arabic song that talks exactly about that hard decision of making the leap of leaving the country. But I think Anghami has been, the fruit of our labor for the past 8 years, and if to make Anghami succeed and grow and sustain, we need to leave, then yeah, by all means, we probably will be moving a big chunk of our team outside Lebanon in the next few months. That was something.
Where would you go? Dubai or?
I had contemplated that decision several times before, and a lot reached out to us to move to different countries over time. But I said no. But right now we're going to move. Yeah, we're going to move to UAE. We're going to move our engineering team to Abu Dhabi and our non-engineering team to Dubai. That clearly says that we believe a lot in UAE. I was not a firm believer in UAE, many years ago. But over time, I clearly UAE won me, not the inverse. I gave a lot to Lebanon. Unfortunately, it's not, as you said, it's not exactly two-way-sided. But in UAE, is mostly UAE gave me, and now I think it makes sense for us. So we're going to be moving to a big chunk of our team to UAE and to Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and we're interested in that particular split because we believe there's a good reason behind every one of that.
Yeah, UAE has been, it's the land of opportunity for people like us, coming from, and others as well, coming from countries where they struggle. We struggle to build success and businesses and different things in our own countries. It's kind of like one of the best places to come. And yeah, you persisted more than anyone, I would say. I mean, we started in Dubai at Step and we opened a Beirut office as an extension. And yeah, like you said, there's a lot of talent. It's just very difficult to be able to have continuity and momentum within that. Where did you get your talent from, mostly in Lebanon? And how, especially engineering talent? You have a great engineering team.
Yeah, Anghami is the team. I come last. And the team is everything. I've invested in the team. We've worked hard. And the engineering team is what makes a difference for us originally. Clearly it's an entire team. It's a full thing. But at the beginning, you needed a product. Building a product, which is a music service that would compete eventually with every other service in the world, or that would come to the Middle East, clearly, is not an easy thing to do, right? When we started, we said, okay, right, we'll figure out the resources, we'll figure out how to build. And I clearly had the confidence that Lebanon has the right talent. I was wrong. At the beginning, I found that we have a lot of talent, but that was not properly adapted to a mobile service that is a fast-moving mobile service like Anghami. So we were trying to, recruit people who've done good stuff on tech in Lebanon, and then get them to work on our project. It was hard because there was a lot of unlearning to do. Okay, so we found that we had a lot of people that have built so many things, but never a mobile app. Getting them to build a mobile app and to build the scale, basically a system that would process millions of requests per second, is not something that they've done before. So what we decided is we figure out unlearning is the hardest thing that you can ever do. Unlearning, not learning. So we actually started recruiting people from universities that had no prior experience whatsoever. I mean, that was the most important thing, no prior experience whatsoever, but smart people. And we taught them. So clearly it took a while because we're starting from, from nothing. So we got a lot of interns during the summer and tried to, work with them. And then those interns eventually became part-timers. Those part-timers right now rule Anghami, right? So we started from interns, part-timers, full-timers, and whatever, and now they're leads. Most of them are leads, and I think we've had 4 or 5 people from the engineering team who had prior experience before joining Anghami, and I'm one of them. And I'm proud to say that right now, the average age of the people in Anghami is way low because they originally started with us from scratch. I tend to increase the average age by far. But I'm proud of that team. I'm sure that team, a lot of the people that built Anghami, the technical team that built Anghami, are still in Anghami till the day. There are obviously some who've left.
Did you have any of the fresh grads that wanted to go into consulting? Can you convince them to come join Anghami instead?
Yeah, I did have that. But though not as much as I wanted. There were a lot that were originally fascinated by the idea that they will travel a lot and they would immediately start earning big cash. With Anghami, those people ended up making good money, but originally it was hard for them because they had to learn a lot. So between a consulting business and working with Anghami at the beginning, if you want to procrastinate, go consulting.
We need to build a movement to convince people to go into tech, not into consulting. I mean, it's a loss of. I don't have anything against consulting, but I just don't feel it's a good. You make a lot of money as an individual, and it's good for them, but there's no value creation across the ecosystem. So there's definitely, I feel, a lot of engineering students.
Right? Yeah. We respect everybody, but I tend to think that like we've learned in Anghami, that it's rarely an idea that you build, that you come up with, tend to actually work the way you plan it. No idea whatsoever, nothing. The way we planned it ended up being realized exactly. So as a consultant, you plan something, you have like maybe 50 slides or more, planning everything down to the tiny bitty detail, sorry. And then somebody has to implement it, but it's all about the implementation. It's all about the iteration that, okay, you want to launch something, validate it, then launch something else and something else. And then what we've learned is that I come up with an idea or someone comes up with an idea and want to implement it in Anghami. It's very rarely it works as, your intuition says. It works only by after testing and checking and validating with users and doing so many A/B tests and growing and growing and growing. Eventually, that product will be used by millions of people right now. This month alone, Anghami has been used by over 19 million people this month. And wow. So, you don't get to that many people by deciding on something and forcing it down people's throat. You want to validate and you want to grow an idea bit by bit, and that's why it takes a lot of stamina, and it takes first something that you need to ignore, which is ego. You need to destroy any ego left while building a business, and that is immensely important, because you have to realize that you need to fail, and you need to fail fast to figure out where you're going to succeed. And it took us a lot of time to do that.
Yeah, and you're building a very complex and large product. So how do you go about deciding, if you can maybe share some examples on, the different features within your product roadmap that you want to roll out, or features to keep versus your other competitors and very large competitors, some of them, and the focus on the other side. So making sure you're focused as well on what your super fan base really care about Anghami and like Anghami for?
Yeah. So clearly, one very important thing is like you always want to listen to your customers, because if you don't listen to them, you're going to end up doing something that nobody uses. But at the same time, you don't want to only listen to them, because, you know, if you only listen to them, you're going to end up doing something that so many different customers want, so many different things, but nothing that would make business sense. So in terms of, you know, it's like Henry Ford used to say, I mean, if I had asked people what they want, they would have told me faster horses. So we wouldn't just ask people, but we want to validate a theory and then test it with people. So back to your question. So we focus on three important things. So we want to innovate. Everybody want to innovate. I mean, there's nothing new about that. But innovation is around three things for us. One, product innovation. Two, business innovation. And three, distribution innovation. So you always have to focus on those three. And focusing on those three is a key when you're launching in any market, and is a key to focus on making a differentiation. So when a foreign competitor comes into the region, they're probably going to bring one, two of those things that I just mentioned, but they will never bring those three, never, because they will not have the focus that is important, that is part of your question, to do all three of them. So when we launched it as Anghami, and we, you know, I remember going, you know, a cold emailing people on LinkedIn that just seemed to want to invest in companies. I'm talking back in 2010 when we started on the idea. It was, we launched in 2012, but we had the idea like a couple of years before, and realized we needed money. And we started asking all those people if they wanted to invest in Anghami, because we knew we're dealing with music labels. We knew we needed money. We can build the product ourselves, but we needed money for the licenses. Everybody told us, you're not going to be able to do it, because, you know, why are you competing with Apple, right? It's easy. Why are you competing with Apple and with whatever else?
There was iTunes at that time, right? That mainly like...
There was iTunes, but it was not in the Middle East, right? I mean, yes,
okay.
There was iTunes, but iTunes used to charge $1 a pop, $1 a song. But if you had a US credit card and whatever, or you can switch the store, you can get...
it was pretty complicated, yeah.
It was pretty complicated. So it's kind of like those 80-20 rule. It was not 20%, it was even less than that. So there were people on it, but most of the people did not know what is music streaming. Most of the people, I mean, were competing with piracy. We're still competing with piracy. So when people ask me, are you competing with X, Y, and Z? I mean, yeah, first piracy, then tell me about the rest. So piracy is exactly what we were originally competing. We said we want to pirate the pirates by 5 things. We want to have a product that would be faster. So it would be faster to find a song on Anghami than going on torrents and searching for it. It would have better quality. It would be cheap.
Where did you get all this content when you first started? When you were just starting up with?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we started, we wanted to do something totally different than what we ended up doing. I mean, I still have the original pitch deck. One day I'm going to write about that. So originally, Anghami was supposed to be called Angham, and Anghami was supposed to be purely Arabic originally. And 3, Anghami was supposed to be rooms where you can go into a room and see people like a room like right now, people listening to you. I mean, a room, people that were playing, let's say, Khaliji music, another room that would be playing, let's say, Egyptian, another room would be playing whatever. So you'd be actually listening to people, and you can actually play music, and you would be talking to people. I mean, chatting.
You were 10 years ahead. This is what's trending now.
Yeah, I mean, that was the original pitch of Anghami. I'm going to write about it soon. But the point is, we wanted to do this, and then you tell me, why did you end up doing something irrelevant? I mean, when we started building, we realized that we needed the basic. We needed to have the music, right? I mean, you cannot make a chat room without, and you know, all of those rooms that I'm talking about without the music. And we needed to have a machine learning system that would actually provide simplistically to pick a song and get the remaining of cues. We need to create playlists so people would actually pick what type of music they want to play and everything. we realized we needed to do, like a Lego pieces. You have like all those nice Lego pieces. You can build anything with them, just about anything. You just have to dream it and come up. So we realized that we should build a proper music service and then build on top of it what we wanted. At the beginning, we were planning Anghami to be totally web. So those rooms would make a lot of sense on web, like right now. But when we started looking at the business innovation and the distribution innovation, because those I'm coming back to them, we realized that distribution innovation would make sense with telcos, right? So it's not about creating a product, but how do you distribute it? I mean, everybody can create great product, but how do you distribute it?
How do you get it to people? Yeah.
How do you get it to people? We realized that we, at the time, data was growing and voice was going less and less, and value-added services were starting to be out of shape with the telcos, and they wanted differentiation. So we thought if we create a product that would work with telcos, they would allow us to distribute it with us, and that would be the first innovation that we're seeking. To do that, you cannot build it on web, we have to build it on mobile. That's how originally we shifted. And then we realized that we can grow on mobile. There would be a differentiation over here, but you cannot grow on web. So that was our original distribution innovation. Our original business innovation was to actually, to get your question, convince all those labels they should go with us, right? Because how do you convince Universal, Sony, whatever, Warner, and all the Arabic labels to come to a streaming service?
And when you're still starting up, you're a nobody. That's one of the challenges of every startup founder.
Exactly.
Nobody knows you. Yeah.
Now, C1, it's important. The team is key. When everybody tells you your team is key, it's a point over here. The team, me and Eddie were the team at the time. And when we met labels, we already had worked with them. So that was important to say, actually trusted us. Why? Because in a previous business before Anghami, I had made I worked with labels to create ringtones for distribution, right? So basically, if you remember those old Nokia ringtones, we had made distributions with Universal, Warner, and all of that, and we were distributing those ringtones via multiple services. So they knew us. Went to them and told them, how much are you making in digital revenue in the Middle East? They said, what revenue? We're making nothing. So it was like, how about I give you money, just straight up on the table, and you give me rights? It's like, everybody thought we were stupid. How come you're paying for paying music labels up front onto something that, very, very normal that in the region, people do not pay for music. We said, okay, we're gonna pay you. You want to give us license for streaming? And many of the labels were telling us, what is streaming? Define it. What do you do? How do you get it, right? Clearly, at the time, nobody knew about streaming. We did not invent streaming. It started a few years before, but at the time in 2010, the big, which is right now, let's say Spotify, they were barely starting with mobile, right? They were available on web. And remember that Spotify...
Yeah, we forget, this was what, iPhone 3 at that time, or iPhone 4?
Exactly. We started in 2010, the App Store started. Remember, a few months earlier this year, it was 10 years of the App Store. So in 2010, there were nobody who had done a mobile app. So when we were planning our Anghami mobile app, there was no other app that does like that. Clearly, Spotify started before us, mobile, but the point is we were not exactly focused on Spotify because our distribution model was totally different. Our business model with the label was totally different. Till today, our business model with labels is not the same as Spotify because we had learned the lessons of Spotify and we created a business innovation whereby our model would be different to deal with. And in terms of, one, it was a distribution, the business, which was different. Till today, you as an artist can go into an Anghami artist interface and upload music directly to Anghami or upload podcasts and all of that. Richard, I'll reply to the question in a bit. That is till this day not available in other music streaming services. because we realized when we launched in 2012 that most of the artists in the Arab world were not distributing via proper labels who are integrated with supply chain on international music services or local or wherever. Local, there were only us, and they were not integrated. So we created our own artist interface to allow artists to upload their content, to promote their content, to get reports and all of that. And that is something that Spotify never had to do, obviously, because they're in a different environment. We created our own ad system that we launched late last year that allows our own self-serve system that to add video ads, audio ads, display ads. Why? I mean, clearly that's not something you would want to do. But we created also multiple systems that you wouldn't want to launch like a billing system. We have the only alternate, we call it alternate payment network, that spans 36 mobile telco operators, plus a variety of local payments like Fawri and different STC Pay and so many different local payment systems around the Middle East. And we do it ourselves, so our own systems. We don't rely on aggregators. So coming back to your questions, we built what we think is essential to us, which is
how and when do you decide to build your own stuff versus using? I mean, building heavy tech, or tech product within the product, which is what you're doing, is a lot of work and pretty complex. And a lot of this is many times available for you as off the shelf or via third-party services that you can use. So, and founders struggle with that many times. When in your business or in that journey do you decide to drop something from using an external service to building it in-house?
At the beginning, we did everything external, simple. We relied on an external ad network. We really relied on an external payment network, which is called credit card, right? And Apple Store. And we relied on simply the labels delivering us the right material. We contracted, let's say, a push notification system. We contracted so many different services, SaaS services, to build Anghami, because we were focusing on building the core, which is the actual product. And when I say product, we have an app on iPhone, on Android, on desktop, Windows, Mac, web, LG TV, Samsung TV, PlayStation, Android TV, Apple Watch, Android Wear, and whatever. So really have a lot. Sonos, Alexa, so we have plenty. But once we started building that, we realized that our biggest problem is conversion. We're not converting enough people to pay. Why? Because people don't pay by credit card. We knew that. We knew that because, we knew back at the days that Souk was having mostly cash on delivery and all of that, but we could not focus on building the tech of billing. But then we realized that unless we have a big percentage of our user base able to pay by telco, then we're not going to grow. And since profitability is important for us, and we're spending in certain cases millions or maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars on external services. So basically, if I actually cut one service, I can actually hire much more engineers, simply if it's worth it. Or if I actually, in this particular case, build our own billing infrastructure, I can increase conversion significantly without changing anything else. So that's why we decided to build our own billing systems. It took us a lot of time, roughly probably 5 years. 5 years of grinding on with multiple telcos to be able to do what we can do right now. And that is a very complicated process. But this actually focusing on that thing alone increased our revenue significantly. I mean, by many 100%.
So once you have enough volume, so basically you start, best way to start with using as many external services as you can while your customer base is still low. And as you start having more customer, at that time you should focus on your core, value add or product. And then once there's enough volume, you basically build that in-house. and improve your margins by cutting out the external service? Because that you'll pay per customer or per user or per...
Yes, exactly. So you're very right on that. So originally we wanted to build, we wanted to go out, but then we started wanting to figuring out there's a lot of services that we're using that if we cut, will increase profitability. And then if we cut, we can customize and make it better. Why deal with an aggregator if I want a direct relationship with the user, right? I don't want to go through third parties. It's like dealing with Apple or Google. You don't know who you're paying, right? And who you're dealing with. It was very important to create that. So bit by bit, we created a lot of the services. And currently, we use some SaaS services because we obviously have to. We don't want to reinvent everything. But at our scale, at the number of great engineers that we have, you reward your engineers by telling them, yeah, we're using an external, let's say, push notification system whereby we're paying $5,000 a month at least. Do it and get a bonus. And with our scale and with our expertise, yes, the engineer will actually end up doing and will actually get a lot of increase our profitability by focusing on certain things. And we've done a lot of that. I don't recommend it for someone that's starting, but in our case, we really had a lot to do. Right now, in terms of we get over 60% of our revenue from selling via operators. So operators as a payment method. If we did not have that, directly, we would be losing a lot or leaving a lot on the table. Not anybody can do it, but then when you want, to grow the business, you would have to focus.
Do you think that more SaaS startups or companies should be built out? I think they're very low right now. Like out of all the startups in the region, SaaS is one of the lowest when compared with in the US or other markets. SaaS is a pretty big chunk of the startups in the market. So one of the reasons that's actually quite bad for the region when you look at it as a whole ecosystem, because all this funding that's going into startups, everyone is spending so much on SaaS and other services that's being paid to the US or companies in Europe and other places. It's money actually leaving the region instead of being reinvested into, a startup from the region building a notification, service that you can use, or building a messaging service that you can use.
Yes, exactly. And the point is, I come from Lebanon. Probably the audience knows, but what the audience does not know is that in Lebanon we buy everything, so we don't create anything. So our production is very low. Our industrial production. So for me, it's the same thing. I wanted to really spend it internally rather than spend it externally. So if we can build it internally, why do I have to? And if usually SaaS services have a huge markup, it makes sense for them. But with my technical expertise, why don't we actually focus? And eventually we might branch out a lot of the products we do on Anghami. So let's say this week, Friday, we're having the first live concert on Anghami with Amro Diab. Okay, so
yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. So it was, I think they announced it yesterday. So to do that, we've built a system whereby we're doing live video. We've built it entirely. We don't do SaaS. We built it, but at the same time, you can chat while watching the artist. While in the event, you can chat and talk. So there is presence of the users, and they can chat. And also, we built it internally, and then we're launching in a few weeks another concert. It's going to be at the beginning of September. We're doing a concert which would be called The Sound of Beirut. It's an event that would be close to 4 hours. The details are not out yet, so even saying 4 hours is not final, but it will be at least 4 hours. And there will be artists from all over the world that will be participating in this event. There will be international artists, very well known, and as well Arabic artists from Khalij, Egypt, Lebanon, and so on, that will be participating in that event for Beirut. This is an event whereby we're going to be asking simply people to donate for Beirut. I applaud you to have that also in step in this event. So basically, we've built that event, that system entirely. And over the next months, we're launching a feature that we've also been building, which is rooms that you can listen to at the same time. So I will start playing music and you can join me and we can be all together playing music at the same time, and we'll be able to chat or talk like without video for now, but we can obviously add video at the same time.
Audio is pretty big, actually. I've been playing around with Clubhouse recently, and it's audio only. And actually, we've had like there's been rooms where some people were playing music, but Clubhouse is not built for that. So the way they play music is like I was doing it earlier. You would play on another device, but the sound quality is horrible.
Exactly.
But people like it.
Yeah, clear. But that is what we've built, and what we're launching is exactly the idea that I told you at the beginning. We're building for Anghami. So we're building rooms.
That you thought about 10 years ago.
Exactly. So it took me that much time to launch what we wanted, because perfection is an idea that you should ignore. As I said, ego go away and perfection goes away. We're going to iterate bit by bit to reach what we wanted. We could not have built this back in the days, and we could have built it maybe 5 years ago, but we would not have invested in machine learning that we've created or so many different things that we've done. Now, in 2019 was the time whereby we started focusing on a lot of social features. People were saying, why are we doing that? Because this feature that took us 1.5 years building, whereby, we've built all internally. Yes, all our engineers are based in Lebanon, and our engineers are different from others, but yes, you can teach people if they're smart, you can teach them, you can challenge them, and you can get to that ability whereby we're creating all those, whether it's at the concert or the live radio that we call, whereby you can chat, talk at the same time and listen to music. All of that has been built in-house by iteration. It's hard, but you can do it. And if we do it, what's important for me is to show, the youth in the region. Don't say that, Anghami is doing that, maybe Spotify is better or cleaner or whatever. I mean, yeah, clearly we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I don't care about perfection. Perfection belongs to a different planet. We iterate, we want to create something whereby we're proud to say that we built it. We did not rent it. We did not white label it. We did not whatever. We built it.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And you can also do. You can build on top of us. You can, at least if you see what we've done and see if Anghami did that, we can do better than them. Yes, that'd be a challenge. Let's build better than us. It's fine. We're happy watching from the sidelines, but it takes a lot to build something entirely from scratch, and that's what I'm proud of. My team.
I'm gonna ask you something that probably a lot of people would want to know. When is Anghami gonna start writing big checks to podcast creators?
Hello, Richard, and others. Yeah, I mean, soon.
It has to. The first check has to go to me, probably for my new.
we will. I mean, okay. So we believe in linear. A podcast can be linear and non-linear. So but what we wanted is a platform. We did not want. I mean, right now there's a lot of podcasts in Anghami, and it's gonna grow. The usage is growing, and I'm very happy because for us it's just an experiment. Audiobooks, because Richard asked, is not something that we've really delved into. I personally listen to a lot of audiobooks, but it's much more complicated because it requires way more licensing, and we're good in licensing, but I have enough on labels. So for me, I wanted to, Anghami, by creating the live radio, it's a format, it's a platform that enables anyone to create a radio, so to create a podcast. Like right now, we could have done that podcast whereby both of us are talking within Anghami, and you can listen to it linear at, like, let's say every Thursday at 6 p.m. It could be retained for you to listen wherever you want on demand. The point is, we created a platform, and we're launching that platform soon. And then it makes sense for us to start riding on top of our platform, allowing creators to monetize, right? So the point is not create just a platform, but create a platform that can be monetized. And in Q4, our monetization tools are going to be launched for the live radio to enable anybody to create a podcast or in real time on Anghami, whereby there will be people listening and asking questions and engaging, and we can pull someone from the audience to answer a question or whatever. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're taking the radio format that has been validated for many years, right? I mean, I think the radio was launched over 100 years. So basically, we're taking that and we're making it to the Middle East and to this particular generation. I know this is something that some have attempting right now, like Clubhouse, but the way that we're doing it is somehow different. I mean, Clubhouse are great at that thing, and probably we're going to succeed pretty good, or others, but we're focusing on the region, we're focusing on localization, we're focusing on a lot of opportunities that were left on the table, and it's kind of different than what others are attempting. We might succeed, we might fail, but if we don't fail, we're going to learn nothing. So looking forward to learning anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Clubhouse is they're still experimenting as well, right? It's still a very close. I think it's about 5,000-6,000 people that are on the platform. One of the things that I'm skeptical about is you can see that people really want to listen to conversations, and sometimes they want to take part of conversations. Definitely want to network. Many people want to meet others. That's something that, like, us as humans, as social animals, like to do. But what I've seen, I'm curious about their numbers, because I've noticed a little bit of drop in the engagement in terms of people actually creating so people going in and creating rooms and leading the discussion, because that requires a lot of energy. Like Twitter, for example, is a platform that requires more effort than other social networks, right? So
honestly,
I feel that
you're right. I mean, see, Twitter, I mean, it's easy. Everybody can tweet just about anything, but a few can tweet something that would engage you. A few can tweet about stuff that they're built and they're growing, and they tell you about the story, how they're doing. There's a lot of solo entrepreneurs like Peter Levels, for instance, on Twitter that tweet a lot, but that tell you about how they're building in public, building in open. We don't have that culture in the Middle East. In Anghami, we're doing that. We don't talk as much on what we're building because we don't have the time. But we've launched a blog I've launched a blog really 8 years in Anghami. It's called talks.anghami.com, whereby we're talking about what we're doing for once, and we're going to talk about the live radio by next week. The point is, we're focused on building that sometimes we don't share about it. And at the same time, we grew thick skin because we realize that people are going to always tell you, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? Whatever. So you have to grow on top of that. So we believe that there will be two types of users using the live radio. There would be the influencers, the artists, the radio DJs that would create shows. And then those will not be so many, but they would exist, obviously. But at the same time, there will be a lot of people that will create intimate conversations. Like right now, me and you are friends that would simply connect and just tell you what music I discovered this week, or simply talk about my week while listening to music. And that would, Anghami, because being an audio-only platform that is based on music, engages people. So we created something called Music Match, which is a feature that would simply scroll across your DNA and matches people who are closer to you based on geography and around music that you like, music that you dislike. So the point is, as you said, we're human animals that want to meet others. So the original idea of Anghami, why was those rooms? Because we thought that people would meet along music that they would enjoy. And I actually figured out that people who hate the same things actually want to enjoy. I mean, it's much more important if both of us don't like that artist than whether we like that artist. Because if we both like the same artist, but one of us hate another one, we're not going to enjoy a lot. So all of that is part of a social network around music that we're building. So we're using music as connecting with people, because when I was young, I used to go to someone and tell him, give me some music that you've enjoyed, and they'll create a mixtape, you know, and that was called DJ. I will buy a tape literally, and I would craft a tape for someone that I love, for instance. And basically people connect with each other, and they discover music from each other. In the 2000s, I mean, over the past 10 years, music streaming services taught us that you should trust the algorithm. And I trust the algorithm because we've built a lot of algorithms. But what if we can also bring people on top of algorithms? So people and algorithms can work hand in hand. So it's not just about algorithms, it's about bringing people and algorithms. So I would actually want to enjoy someone who would actually be giving me music, would showing me music on Anghami, because he's actually pretty good, let's say, in Arabic indie, like you were playing at the beginning. I would not know how to discover Arabic indie except by searching on Anghami and following a playlist and then waiting what Anghami would give me. But if I connect with a person that Anghami would recommend me because he's very good in Arabic indie, and I can ask him about that song. Who's Adonis? Why are they called Adonis? Because you were playing Adonis. And they can actually recommend me different music, and we can talk, and we can simply, you know, it's like the radio that we used to enjoy, like drive time radio, but you can never ask anything. You can never say, oh, what that song that I'm playing, that the DJ is playing. All of that would flow in Anghami because we've built the original infrastructure to allow you to do this. And that takes a lot, but we're happy. And we might fail, we might succeed, but the journey taught us a lot.
Are you, percentage-wise, how much of Anghami is a technology company and how much of it is a content company?
So I mean, I like to say that we're a technology company that built on top of music. So we're using music as a connector and to drive engagement. But, you know, eventually, there's a lot of algorithm that we've built in Anghami, a lot of infrastructure that we've built in Anghami that you can swap music with something else and it will still work. Our focus is music. But it's also always important to look at your team. Currently, we have probably 55% of our team are engineers. That tells you how important engineers are for the company. But without the rest, we could not build Anghami, right? It would be a great tech company that has, you know, blank stuff around it. But the experience of Anghami taught me that, you know, you have to empower people around stuff that they will enjoy. So as users in Anghami, as engineers, we use Anghami. So we've built a product, a music service, but we're using it. We're not selling diapers that we're not using. We're selling a product that's built around something that we use. So every day, one of our, you know, non-engineers might talk about something that he doesn't like, or might propose something that he and that would eventually be something that's important. We like to empower our team so that the team feel that they're building, and we're building in public as a team. So we're not as a team. I mean, our team has an interface whereby everything that we're building is run for everyone. So we're a very transparent company. Everybody knows what we're building. Everybody knows what works, what doesn't work, our experiments. And all of that teaches us. The whole idea was that for a lot of people, I told them, don't do an MBA, don't go whatever, build in Anghami. You're going to learn a lot of the things that will enable you to do better. And I'm hopeful that, you know, maybe after or whatever, there will be a day whereby a lot of those teams, those aces that we have in Anghami are going to build other companies. And I can't wait to invest in them because I know that they've seen the bad things that we've done, the bad experiments, the failures, but they've seen also what works. And they know that it's always around the three things that I told you: business, product, and distribution. A lot of the times companies focus on one thing and ignore the two others, and they'll fail.
So to go back to my question and look at it maybe in a different way. So when you see Spotify, for example, which is, you know, came into the region recently, and Spotify is going into paying content creators. The Joe Rogan 100 million. Yeah, the podcast model, or in general, paying creators mainly, which is a Netflix as well kind of model, which is putting big money and investment behind content and premium content. How do you decide? I don't know if you've decided or not, but how would you, as a founder, kind of decide? If you want to go down this, if this is the right way to go, or no, stick to building technology platform that build the tools for creators to be able to monetize through ads or different ways, but you're gonna stay out of the paying creators to actually
Yes. So let me answer that. It's a very interesting question, and you're spot on a lot of things. One thing that's important for us is that we learn from a lot, and there are experiments that you can do and experiments that you cannot do. As a founder in the Middle East, it's important to really have your head on your shoulders to know what you can do, what you cannot do. So Anghami in total raised just under 30 million, $27 million since inception, and we've built that much. Why? Because we're in the Middle East. So we don't get drunk in what TechCrunch, in articles on TechCrunch, whereby a small seed company might raise, I don't know, maybe $40 million and build a lot of things and throw money like Quibi, someone said, throw $1 billion on content and then fail like Quibi. We know that we have, I totally respect what Spotify have done as a product, and the podcast model that they're doing makes a lot of sense for them. And it will eventually make sense for us. But the Middle East is not exactly the Western world. People do not consume as much podcast as in the Western world. Why? Because people don't commute as much first. Okay, so if you go to Europe, if you go to US, you see a lot of people commuting, walking, commuting by public transportation, and they're wearing headphones or AirPods or whatever. That's still not there in the region. So we're seeing podcasts growing, but not as much as the Western world because of commuting. And whatever Spotify said, I think they did say that when COVID hit, podcasts took also a big hit because people couldn't commute. And we also saw how commuting changed music consumption, and at the same time podcast consumption, and that affected everybody across the world. Podcasts were hit because commute was hit. In our region, we have also bigger things that Spotify cannot do. One, music creation. So Anghami has created music content. Spotify cannot do it because they can't risk the big labels, the major labels turning around them, because how are you creating music? Obviously they cannot do that risk and they can create podcasts. In our part of the world, there isn't a big label, unfortunately. There is just no big label in the region that has a big percentage like Universal or Warner or Sony have in the US. So we can work with a lot of creators called artists to create content. We've created close to 100 songs in Anghami, right? We've produced a lot, we've co-produced. So that is something that Spotify cannot do. And that's what we started with. But then we said, we want to create the ability, to discover creators for podcasts, for, customly known as radio shows. And that is not the same thing as in the US and the Europe, whereby there are big hits like Joe Rogan and others that you can simply transform into podcast. So we wanted to create a platform, and that is the live radio, whereby we will work to actually hopefully discover and push people who are from media into creating podcasts, and we will fund. Yes, you wanted that. We will fund podcast. We will fund creators to create their own podcasts, create their own, we'll call them live radio shows on Anghami, that will be linear, kind of like Apple Music radio shows that will be linear, but you can consume on demand. And we're going to allow them to monetize it, because it's not about just creating shows. It's creating shows that can be monetized, because unlike Spotify, like TechCrunch, we don't have millions of hundreds of millions of dollars invested in content. So we wanted to create a platform whereby people can create their shows, but also monetize their shows individually. And us at Anghami will monetize a few, because we will not be able to, throw as much money as Spotify, but we will monetize a few. We're working already with few artists and few people to on that particular topic, and we're going to be working on more as the live radio product launches. So yes, we're taking a very different road than Spotify. Part of it is going to be linear, a lot of it is not going to be linear. A lot of it is going to be as creating content for music, but also content via our platform that we've created that is not similar to Spotify. We have different bets because we understand localization. We understand that there's still a lot of money in radio across the Middle East. And by creating a platform for radio shows to move onto digital, we're going to be able also to move advertising dollars onto that. And there will be a lot of
that will be through your ad platform, right? The new ad platform.
Exactly. So if we don't build our own ad platform and our own live radio product, it's going to be hard to tell, to scale the podcast model, the radio model. So I will tell someone to create 1 show, 2 shows, 3 shows, but then again, I can put some money into 1 show, 2, 3, 4, 10, but eventually, how does that scale? To scale in the platform, to scale the platform means ad product, payment product, live show, show product, and all of that have been or are being built almost entirely in Anghami.
So through your ad product, for example, is it going to be accessible for small businesses or only for media agencies? So like as a step, for example, if we want to book, ads on Anghami, we'll be able to do it directly ourselves through your ad platform?
Yes, of course. We're going to be opening that because we've built a platform and we work with Shwari DNS, which is our aggregate. I don't know. I'm forgetting the term. I'm sorry for that. Our partner on that, our advertising partner. This is the most important. But we've built a product with that can be used for anybody because we want the long tail. With our partner, we're working on the big agencies and all of that. But the long tail, a small customer that's building his own startup, and they want to reach Anghami people, and maybe they want to actually use Anghami as a payment method because it's very hard for them to be able to scale subscription across the Middle East by credit card. Why not use Anghami as an ad platform and as a payment platform at the same time? All of those are stuff that we're working on. It's hard, but we know that when you localize for the region, it's not just put right to left and put some words in Arabic and all of that. You need to build for the people in the region, and build for the people in the region means having bigger bets.
How would the payments work? The subscriptions you mentioned, like is it for creators? They can charge.
Yes, this is very important. It's not podcasts right now rely on a few ads that are embedded in the MP3 of the podcast. That's cool, but that's not how you can scale the business. To scale the business, you need to actually empower creators to have ads that would be comparable to any Instagram ad or anything. But at the same time, why not maybe charge for a creator session, right? To charge for a certain podcast or charge for a certain session whereby you're learning, right? I learned tons from buying books, from listening to audiobooks and podcasts and so on. I would love to be able to learn more via certain people. And all of that is going to be possible. Why can't I have a subscription to a service? Why should podcast be totally free? It's like dithering.fm. I don't know if you know dithering of the podcast. This is you pay for it, right? But the people that made dithering can afford to make all that infrastructure and all of that. But why can't others build something like that?
Yeah, that culture is is missing. I'm not sure how much you've seen it grow and from, you know, your own subscription, but I think because of piracy and all of that, the Middle East, we're used to getting content for free. I mean, if you think of Step as, you know, we're content creators, we create content through our events. And when we actually sell better than many others in the region in terms of tickets that we sell. But in general, compared to conferences in Europe or in the US, with the price range and, you know, everything else, we sell less compared to those, because generally the culture, like you're saying, people should pay for content, because for content creators to be able to do more content and better content, they need to get paid in some way other than advertising, because advertising now is, you know, advertisers focusing on leads or whatever and different things. But have you seen that improve over like the last 10 years? Because you've witnessed the whole cycle of...
Yes, of course. So the point is simple. We've seen a lot of things happen on Anghami, and you know, when we took a first bet that you can sell subscriptions, and people are going to pay for music, you know, everybody thought you cannot do that. We clearly proved that you can do that, and we clearly are taking the long bet that there are more ways to monetize content than what it is right now. Currently, right now, as in Anghami even, you either monetize by, you know, you pay for a subscription, or we monetize free users by ads. Those were the two models of monetization. And this is currently what Spotify, for instance, does. We believe there are more ways to monetize. We believe there are more ways to create revenue than just those two ways. And this is what we're working on, and I can't wait to show all of that in the next quarter. The point is, people are willing to pay for for certain creators. We've seen that happen all over the world. In the region, we have just a small percentage, a smaller percentage than anywhere else, but it's growing, because I've seen I've seen the growth in paying subscriptions, and you know, I'm very proud to say that we have a significant amount of people who pay us, and actually 75% of our revenue comes in from people paying subscription, not advertising. 75% comes in from people directly paying for music, which is impressive for me. But yeah, I believe there are more ways. You know, when you look at, you know, a mall does not rely on people going to the mall to just buy, let's say, clothes. They relied on that people are going to go to the mall to watch movies, but then maybe while going to the movie, they're going to buy popcorn, they're going to buy a burger, they're going to buy a bag or whatever. In terms of as a media platform, we have a lot of users coming day in and day out to Anghami, and we're only asking them to get a subscription. That's one ask. That's kind of weird. When you look at physical world, there is no outlet that tells you buy one thing alone, and if you buy that one thing, that's it. There's nothing else you can buy from me. Just imagine just imagine you go to anything, you to any physical shop. If you buy one thing, that's it. I have nothing else to offer you. There's a lot more to be experimented. China has done a lot to prove that you can pay for something else, and that but it's all a scarcity thing. I think the biggest investment we've done in the region is education. We've educated a lot of people on paying for content. When we launched in 2012 and asked people to pay to get access to music, to be able to download or whatever, people were laughing, and people were like saying that, okay, I'm going to pay you the first month $5. I'm going to download the 1,000 song. Next month, I own those songs. They did not realize that, you know, it's a recurrent model. We've invested in education. So when Netflix came, I'm sure Netflix benefited because people were paying money before, and when Spotify came, they benefited and all of that. And we've benefited. It's a two-way street. But there's still a lot of other ways that a lot have not experimented with. And I want to experiment. Why not?
Yeah. Will you go into other markets that are similar to the Middle East, or do you feel you're more an Arab company like Pakistan or other markets in Africa?
Yes. Do I want to? Yes. Is it the right time?
What's stopping you?
Honestly, I think this is when you go back to focus, the question you asked. So we're focusing because we cannot at the same time focus on so many different things that we're doing in the region. Because as I said, we've built a lot of things that other music services don't have to do. Like the live radio or like the ad platform or like the billing platform, like so many things. But at the same time, we believe increasing ARPU, increasing the average return per user, is something that no other music service is focusing on.
Yeah.
We want to grow our in the region because as a media platform, like Step, we're a media platform. We're doing music. We started with music. We started with ads and so many things. We can do more, and we can't currently, with our current resources, scale vertically and horizontally. Maybe there would be a day that would come. What do I need? I need way more money to do more. But I think I would fail way more if I start going to different region and at the same time launching different products. We have to focus on one thing, either horizontal or vertical. I think we're just.
How many of the, I don't know if you have the number or not, but how many of the Arab population percentage is still not on? I feel like they're either on the streaming platform, everyone else is on YouTube, right? Probably YouTube is your big.
YouTube is just piracy, if you want to call it whatever. I think the number of people paying for music services in the region is in at most 5%, right? It's very low. So our growth is over there. So it's not like, am I competing with Spotify or others? No, I'm competing with piracy. I'm competing with people who think that YouTube is the way that you're going to listen to music, and this is how you can put YouTube, use data, and put it just in the front, and that's how what music is. Yes, it's great to start on YouTube, but eventually you're going to move out of YouTube, and this is what our bet is on. I think Spotify came to the region and clearly they started first to compete with Anghami, and they're probably their most worthwhile competitor right now. But I do think that all of us and Spotify are just facing a giant called piracy, and anything else is just useless. I mean, everything else is powder in the eye. I mean, I'm focusing on piracy, and I think there's still a lot that we can do in the region. And we're leading, and we're still going to be focusing.
Yeah, you're doing every day an amazing job at this. We ran out of time, unfortunately. I can go on for hours. Thank you very much. Such an honor to have you.
Thank you for having me. I hope listeners gonna take us on everything that we're doing. Try to test us and see how we're getting better with time. And do better than us. That's much more important. Let's all learn from everybody. From everybody who's building in the region, and try to figure out how can we do something that would be sustainable.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Éilli.
Thank you, Ray, and thanks for everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.